New black teacher faces shocking bullying. Moments later, the tables turn in an unexpected twist. Mia Carter had arrived in the small town of Willow Creek with high hopes. The sun sparkled off the dew-kissed grass, and the air was sweet with the scent of blooming cherry blossoms. But on her first day, as she stepped through the school doors, the warmth evaporated. Whispers swept the hallway like a chilling wind. The laughter of children turned sour as they saw her. "Why she here?" one girl sneered, the words sharp as glass. Mia felt the lump forming in her throat as she moved toward her classroom, where she would be greeted by vacant desks and eyes void of curiosity. The classroom, usually a sanctuary, felt like a battlefield. Mia's heart raced as she scanned the faces before her. Some were uninterested, others openly hostile. They would throw crumpled notes at her, mock her accent, and snicker as she stumbled over a word. Even the faculty weren't kind. "Just keep your..." Here, his eyes told a different story, one of ignorance and indifference. As days turned into weeks, the bullying didn't fade. Instead, it escalated at lunch. Whispers followed her like shadows. "Look, it's the new teacher. Think she'll last till winter?" When she turned to confront them, they erupted into laughter, echoing through the cafeteria and squeezing tightly on her chest. Each ridicule was a needle, stitching doubt into her mind. Why had she come here? Who did she think she was? Challenging the status quo in a place steeped in its traditional ways? But just as she began to sink into despair, an unexpected twist emerged. A familiar face appeared at the door one afternoon, illuminated by the fiery glow of the setting sun. It was Jamal, a former student of the school, now a community leader. He had returned, standing tall and proud, his heart in his voice as he spoke of change. Mia's spirit flickered at the sight of him, hope creeping back into her heavy heart. "I remember the battles, Mia. They didn't want me either," he said, the memories raw. His story tangled with hers. Courage in the face of prejudice. The students, momentarily captivated, paused in their chatter. For the first time, Mia felt their eyes on her with curiosity instead of scorn. The air shifted as if the town itself were holding its breath. But the question loomed heavy over her heart. Could this newfound connection lead to a deeper understanding? Or would it simply peel back the scars of division? The uncertainty danced around her like a restless spirit, sending shivers down her spine. Could she rally her students to rise above this hate? Or would speaking her truth just unravel the fragile threads of unity? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without any notice. And tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching? I love getting to know every incredible person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. As Mia stood before her students, Jamal's words hung in the air like a spark waiting for a flame. She felt the tides shifting within her, drawing her closer to the edge of bravery. The students' eyes flickered from her to Jamal, their laughter fading into an uncertain silence. But just as hope began to take root, calamity struck. A sudden crash echoed through the hallway, shattering the fragile moment. The classroom door flung open, and in stormed Mr. Thompson, the gym teacher, his face twisted in fury. "Everyone out!" he barked, his voice reverberating like a thunderclap. What's happening?" Mia rushed to ask, but Mr. Thompson's eyes were wild, darting to the windows. "You need to get to safety! Hurry!" Then came a shriek, sharp and piercing, slicing through the air like a blade. The kids froze, their expressions morphing into horror. Mia turned towards the sound, and her stomach dropped as she caught sight of a figure hurtling down the hall. A girl with pigtails. Lily, the one who had scoffed at her just days before. Tears streamed down the child's flushed face. "Help! There's someone!" Lily gasped, nearly stumbling over her own feet. Before Mia could process the gravity of the situation, chaos erupted. A shout rang out, and a heavy thud followed. A group of students, eyes wide with fear, rushed past Mia, leaving her breathless. She scanned the room, her pulse quickening. "What's going on?" But Lily was already babbling, panting for breath. "A man! He's out there! He has a weapon!" The shock resonated deeply. The laughter, the scorn, it all faded in the face of real terror. The world outside the classroom seemed to twist and darken. The chatter of childhood was silenced, replaced by a haunting dread. Mia's mind spun with vivid images. What sort of danger could be lurking just beyond the walls? She reached for Jamal, their eyes locking, sharing a silent understanding of this sudden threat. "Stay low," Jamal whispered, grasping Mia's wrist with a fierce intention. "We need to protect them. We're their teachers." The shouts grew louder, a cacophony of panic, ringing out through the hallways. Mia moved swiftly to the door, her chest tight, her breath hard to catch. The students huddled close behind her, a mass of fear and uncertainty. What had started as a moment of connection with Jamal had transformed into a nightmare. Then suddenly, at that moment, everything changed. From the other side of the door, a familiar voice cut through the chaos. It was the principal. "Everyone, stay calm! We're in lockdown! This isn't a drill!" But even as safety protocols kicked in, a new dread unfurled inside Mia. What if the threat was someone they knew? The normalcy of school life shattered, revealing cracks of darkness lurking under the surface. What secrets ran deeper than anyone could comprehend? Mia glanced at Jamal, eyes wide with fear and uncertainty, as an unsettling thought bloomed in her mind. What if the very fabric of their lives was woven with threads of betrayal and danger? The world outside was changing. What lay beyond the door? What truth was ready to be unveiled? Mia's heart raced with a mixture of fear and adrenaline, ready to confront whatever was to come. As the tension hung heavily in the air, the only certainty was that everything was about to change. As the loud bang sliced through the tense silence, Mia's heart raced faster than ever. The students' wide eyes were glued to the door, breaths caught in their throats, a collective heartbeat echoing in the room. Jamal held her hand tighter, his face a mixture of determination and fear. The air felt thick, almost electric, as the reality of the terrifying situation crashed down around them. "Everyone stay calm!" the principal's voice shouted, but the tremor in his tone was unmistakable. "We're in lockdown! This isn't a drill! Outside the classroom, chaos reigned. Voices mingled with screams, the sharp sounds knocking against the walls and vibrating through Mia's bones. Stay down, she instructed, urgency flashing in her eyes. The students dropped to the floor, instinctively seeking safety behind the desks. Fear twisted in the air, and Mia's mind raced. She needed to figure out what had happened. What was out there? Then another heavy bang rang out, and the tension snapped like a rubber band. The students flinched, their eyes darting around the room, as if the very walls could collapse around them. But in that moment, Mia noticed something. A shadow flickered just outside the door, and her breath hitched. Someone was out there. Lily, what did you see? Tell me! Mia commanded softly, leaning closer to the frightened girl huddled beneath a desk. Lily's face was pale, tears streaming down her cheeks. A man. He was shouting. He had a weapon. I ran. I didn't know what to do. Just then, another series of frantic footsteps echoed against the tile floor, causing Mia's heart to leap into her throat. Her pulse thundered in her ears. Were they safe? Were they truly protected within the classroom walls? Suddenly, the door jostled, rattling hard. Mia's stomach dropped. Stand back, she yelled, positioning herself in front of the students like a shield. Her head spun with thoughts of danger and the unfamiliar sounds that loomed closer. Then, a crack. The door burst open violently. The breath escaped Mia's lungs in a sharp gasp. But instead of a frightening figure, there stood Mr. Thompson, his face flushed with anger. "We need to move. This isn't a safe place," he growled. Mia's confusion tangled with a sudden surge of anger. "What do you mean? What's happening out there?" Before he could answer, someone shouted from behind him. "He's back! The man! He's coming into the gym!" A wave of panic washed over the room, enveloping everyone in dread. The students shrunk back, fear coating their expressions. But then, something unexpected happened. Mr. Thompson's eyes flickered, and his voice shifted from anger to fear, revealing a deep vulnerability. I didn't want this to happen. You shouldn't have come back here, Mia. You don't know what you're up against." The world slowed around Mia. His words struck her deep like a thunderclap, severing everything she thought she understood. What did he mean? Suddenly, amidst the chaos, an unexpected hush fell over the classroom. Lily gasped again, her eyes wide, pointing. "Look!" The door swung slowly open, and a figure appeared in the doorway. Mia's breath caught painfully as she recognized the silhouette. It was Jamal. But something was off. His eyes, dark and steely, held no warmth. "Mia, you shouldn't be here," he said, his voice cold and unrecognizable. Time froze. He stepped forward, and everything shifted. The fear in the room twisted into confusion. The very person who had been her beacon of hope now cast shadows of doubt. What had changed? "Mia, the truth isn't what you think." Jamal's voice trailed off, and before she could process, the silence shattered into fragments of tension. What was hidden beneath the surface? What truths lay just beyond the door? Her heart pounded as the walls of certainty crumbled. The room tilted, and Mia realized everything was about to change. As Mia's breath caught painfully in her throat, She searched Jamal's face for a sign, a glimpse of the warmth she once knew. But there was only cold detachment, the shadows of the room deepening around him. "Mia, you shouldn't be here," he repeated, taking a step forward. It felt like a betrayal, a gut punch she wasn't prepared for. Her heart raced, confusion curling inside her chest. "What do you mean?" The students held their breaths, fear hanging in the air like a thick fog. Mr. Thompson glanced nervously between them. "We need to go, now!" "Why?" Mia's voice shook, a thread of authority battling the panic rising in her throat. Jamal's expression shifted slightly, a flash of something she could not quite grasp. "It's not safe. You don't understand." His voice, usually a balm, felt like a gust of ice. Then, without warning, the lights flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness. Gasps echoed around the room, like the flutter of trapped birds. Mia's heart pounded. Shadows moved, and she felt panic ignite in a rush. "Everyone, stay calm!" But before she could get the words out, another crash echoed, louder than before. The door banged against the wall, and in rushed two students, their faces pale. "He's coming! We saw him!" "Who?" Mia's heart raced. Her instincts screamed danger. "Jamal!" one of the boys shouted, his voice breaking with fear. "He's got a—" Before he could finish, a figure loomed in the doorway, just outside the threshold. The tension snapped tight like a wire ready to break. "Mia, get back!" Jamal shouted. But it was too late. The figure stepped into the classroom. Everything slowed and Mia squinted into the shadows. As the dim light flooded in, her breath caught in her throat. The newcomer was Jessie, a girl from her class, clutching something tightly in her hands. Panic twisted in Mia's gut. "Jessie, what?" Before she could fully form her question, Jessie lifted the object, revealing a small knife, glinting under the stark light. "I had to! He was going to hurt us!" Murmurs erupted. The room pulsed with confusion. Mia's heart sank as she realized the truth. Jessie was terrified, but also somehow empowered. This was no longer about teachers and students. The lines blurred. "Jessie, put that down! Please!" Ia urged, stepping forward, keeping her gaze locked on the girl. But Jessie was trembling, held captive by fear. "What is happening?" Mia whispered to Jamal, but the chill in his eyes told her he didn't have the answer. Just then, the principal's voice blared over the intercom, shaky and urgent. "We have a situation! Everyone stay quiet! Lock the doors!" Mia's heartbeat pounded in her ears. What situation? But she already knew. Dread settled like a stone in her stomach. Jamal stepped closer to Jessie, hands up, taking her fear seriously. "It's okay, Jessie. Just breathe. We'll get through this." But before he could say more, a loud crash echoed through the school, shaking the walls. The lights flickered again, then steadied. Suddenly, a voice came clearly through the open door. "I know you're all in there." Jamal froze, disbelief washing over him. No way! Before he could react, the panic surged again. Jessie turned toward the door, the knife shaking in her hand. "Who is that?" Mia's heart raced. She locked gazes with Jamal, and the unspoken fear hung between them. The world outside roared like a storm. We have to protect them, she said, her voice steady, though every fibre of her being trembled. Jamal shook his head, his features darkening. You don't know what you're facing. What he wants. A sudden realization sparked in Mia's mind. The truth, she murmured, fear giving way to knowledge. You know him, don't you? But just as Jamal opened his mouth to respond, the door burst open, and in and stormed a man with a mask, eyes glinting with madness. Mia screamed, the sound bursting from her lips as everything crashed into chaos. In that moment, the boundaries shattered, alliances frayed, as the figure swirled into focus. Let's see the real you, he shouted, and the air thickened. Mia's mind spun. What truth was he intent on revealing? What secrets had they covered in silence? As the shadows deepened, all eyes widened, hearts in throats, and Mia realized nothing would ever be the same again. The layers of their lives had just begun to peel away, and what lay beneath was too terrifying to face. Mia couldn't breathe. The moment stretched, hanging like a taut string, ready to snap. Jamal's voice, once filled with warmth, now sent chills down her spine. The line between safety and danger blurred as the masked figure looms closer, his intentions a dark shadow. Let's see the real you, the stranger thundered, and the intensity pulled everyone forward, straining for clarity. All eyes locked on Jamal, questions written in their expressions, but he didn't respond. He only stood there, tense and silent. In the chaotic backdrop, Jessie gripped the knife tighter, her small fingers trembling. What does he mean? She squeaked, fear sparking in her blue eyes. Then the world ignited. A blinding flash cut through the gloom, illuminating the masked figure for a brief moment. And in that heartbeat, a horrifying realization dawned on Mia. She saw the man's face, the tattooed arm, the wild dark hair. Steve? Gasps echoed around her, a chorus of disbelief. Steve, a familiar name among her students, known for his troubled past, now stood at the door as the symbol of terror. But what was he doing here? Why now? Jamal, why didn't you? She began. Her words tumbling over each other, but Jamal's expression halted her. Stop! He yelled, stepping forward towards Steve, each gasp swallowing the silence. You don't have to do this! We can talk! Suddenly, the power surged back, flickering on to reveal the tension in every face, the stark terror dancing around them. Steve's smirk twisted into something darker, something vengeful. You think you can rewrite the past, Jamal? You're just like the others. Mia's heart dropped. What past? What had Jamal been hiding? The revelation shrieked through her, unraveling everything she thought she knew. Stay back! Jamal's words were desperate, tight and raw. You don't understand! But the crowd of students erupted, fear transforming into chaos. They scrambled, seeking safety as the tension exploded like shrapnel. Mia could barely keep her feet under her, adrenaline surging through her veins. And as Steve stepped forward, brandishing the weapon, a sudden scream pierced the air. It was Lily again. You're wrong, Jamal. He's not here for a reason. He's here to hurt you. Mia's blood ran cold. Hurt? Was this a vendetta? Jamal's face paled, shock mingling with guilt. The room felt suffocating, as if the very walls were closing in. In a moment of silence, the shocking nature of the truth hung powerfully in the air. "What did you do, Jamal?" Mia's voice almost broke, a mix of fear and fury swirling inside her. And then it came, the twist that felt like a punch to the gut. I didn't mean to. I didn't know he would come back. Jamal's voice cracked, revealing an underlying truth that sent tremors through the room. The familiarity of fear. The burden of the past weighed heavily. Suddenly, everything changed. No longer was it just about a school under threat. It was about a betrayal. A hidden darkness that could fracture their fragile unity. Mia's heart raced. The lines between ally and enemy blurred as she stared at Jamal. Questions swelling like a storm. "What else don't I know?" she murmured, dread curling its fingers around her heart. Amidst the chaos, the masked figure laughed. A chilling sound that sent shivers dancing down Mia's spine. The gravity of the moment shifted. What else lay buried beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? What truths would shatter the fragile peace they'd fought for? As the air thickened with tension, the only certainty was that everything was about to unravel. Mia couldn't breathe. The moment stretched, hanging like a taut string ready to snap. Jamal's voice, once filled with warmth, now sent chills down her spine. The line between safety and danger blurred as the masked figure loomed closer, his intentions a dark shadow. "Let's see the real you," the stranger thundered, and the intensity pulled everyone forward, straining for clarity. All eyes locked on Jamal, questions written in their expressions. But he didn't respond. He only stood there, tense and silent. In the chaotic backdrop, Jessie gripped the knife tighter, her small fingers trembling. "What does he mean?" she squeaked, fear sparking in her blue eyes. "I don't know," Mia whispered, dread curling in her stomach. The air thickened, heavy with uncertainty. As the unknown figure shifted, a flicker of fear crossed Jamal's face. An emotion so raw it pierced through Mia. Then, in a sudden surge, the lights went out again. Darkness enveloped them, thick and suffocating. Panic set in, hearts racing like wild horses. The only sound was the sharp intake of breath from the students, the low rustle of eyes adjusting to nothingness. Then the world ignited. A blinding flash cut through the gloom, illuminating the masked figure for a brief moment. And in that heartbeat, a horrifying realization dawned on Mia. She saw the man's face, the tattooed arm, the wild dark hair. "Steve?" Gasps echoed around her, a chorus of disbelief. Steve, a familiar name among her students, known for his troubled past, now stood at the door as the symbol of terror. But what was he doing here? Why now? "Jamal, why didn't you?" she began, her words tumbling over each other. But Jamal's expression halted her. "Stop!" he yelled, stepping forwards towards Steve, each gasp swallowing the silence. "You don't have to do this. We can talk." Suddenly, the power surged back, flickering on to reveal the tension in every face, the stark terror dancing around them. Steve's smirk twisted into something darker, something vengeful. You think you can rewrite the past, Jamal? You're just like the others. Mia's heart dropped. What past? What had Jamal been hiding? The revelation shrieked through her, unraveling everything she thought she... Jamal's words were desperate, tight, and raw. You don't understand! But the crowd of students erupted, fear transforming into chaos. They scrambled, seeking safety as the tension exploded like shrapnel. Mia could barely keep her feet under her, adrenaline surging through her veins. And as Steve stepped forward, brandishing the weapon, a sudden scream pierced the air. It was Lily again. You're wrong, Jamal. He's not here for a reason. He's here to hurt you. Mia's blood ran cold. Hurt? Was this a vendetta? Jamal's face paled, shock mingling with guilt. The room felt suffocating, as if the very walls were closing in. Jamal! What is happening? Mia's voice was shaky, but she couldn't hold back. What did you do? His eyes slammed shut for a brief moment, pain etched deep into his features. I tried to help him! He was a friend before everything went wrong! What? Mia whispered, the weight of the words crushing her. He's your friend? After everything? Then, without warning, another figure burst through the door. It was Ms. Wilson, the art teacher, her eyes wide with panic. He's here! He's going crazy! Everyone turned, confusion brewing. Who's here? One of the students shouted, voice trembling. But before she could answer, Miss Wilson pointed a trembling finger at Jamal. We need to get out! It's him! He called Steve! A wave of disbelief coursed through the room. Gasps erupted, brows furrowed in shock. Jamal? Calling Steve? Every familiar face transformed, not just terror-stricken, but questioning. No, Mia said, her voice trembling. This can't be true. But a deep, raging laugh echoed from Steve, igniting the room with fear. They all thought they knew you, Jamal, but you're just like the rest. A coward hiding behind lies. Time froze. The truth crashed over everyone like a wave, raw and shocking. Jamal's past, entwined in darkness, now stood exposed under the harsh classroom lights. Mia's heart gripped tighter. What other truths are buried here, she wondered, grappling with the depth of betrayal. As the room quaked under the weight of revelations, the only certainty was that nothing would ever be the same again. Mia couldn't breathe. The moment stretched, hanging like a taut string ready to snap. Jamal's voice, once filled with warmth, now sent chills down her spine. The line between safety and danger blurred as the masked figure loomed closer, his intentions a dark shadow. Let's see the real you, the stranger thundered, and the intensity pulled everyone forward, straining for clarity. All eyes locked on Jamal, questions written in their expressions. But he didn't respond. He only stood there, tense and silent. In the chaotic backdrop, Jessie gripped the knife tighter, her small fingers trembling. What does he mean? She squeaked, fear sparking in her blue eyes. I don't know, Mia whispered, dread curling in her stomach. The air thickened, heavy with uncertainty. As the unknown figure shifted, a flicker of fear crossed Jamal's face. Darkness enveloped them, thick and suffocating. Panic set in, hearts racing like wild horses. The only sound was the sharp intake of breath from the students, the low rustle of eyes adjusting to nothingness. Then the world ignited. A blinding flash cut through the gloom, illuminating the masked figure for a brief moment. And in that heartbeat, a horrifying realization dawned on Mia. She saw the man's face, the tattooed arm, the wild dark hair. "Steve?" Gasps echoed around her. A chorus of disbelief. Steve, a familiar name among her students, known for his troubled past, now stood at the door as the symbol of terror. But what was he doing here? Why now? "Jamal, why didn't you—" she began, her words tumbling over each other. But Jamal's expression halted her. "Stop," he yelled, stepping forward towards Steve, each gasp swallowing the silence. "You don't have to do this. We can talk." Suddenly, the power surged back, flickering on to reveal the tension in every face, the stark terror dancing around them. Steve's smirk twisted into something darker, something vengeful. "You think you can rewrite the past, Jamal? You're just like the others." Mia's heart dropped. What past? What had Jamal been hiding? The revelation shrieked through her, unraveling everything she thought she knew. "Stay back!" Jamal's words were desperate, tight, and raw. "You don't understand." The crowd of students erupted, fear transforming into chaos. They scrambled, seeking safety as the tension exploded like shrapnel. Mia could barely keep her feet under her, adrenaline surging through her veins. And as Steve stepped forward, brandishing the weapon, a sudden scream pierced the air. It was Lily, again. "You're wrong, Jamal! He's not here for a reason! He's here to hurt you!" Mia's blood ran cold. Hurt? Was this a vendetta? Jamal's face paled, shock mingling with guilt. The room felt suffocating, as if the very walls were closing in. "Jamal, what is happening?" Mia's voice wavered, but she couldn't hold back. "What did you do?" His eyes slammed shut for a brief moment, pain etched deep into his features. I tried to help him. He was a friend before everything went wrong." "What?" Mia whispered, the weight of the words crushing her. "He's your friend, after everything." Then, without warning, another figure burst through the door. It was Ms. Wilson, the art teacher, her eyes wide with panic. "He's here! He's going crazy!" Everyone turned, confusion brewing. "Who's here?" one of the students shouted, voice trembling. But before she could answer, Miss Wilson pointed a trembling finger at Jamal. "We need to get out! It's him! He called Steve!" A wave of disbelief coursed through the room. Gasps erupted, brows furrowed in shock. "Jamal! Calling Steve?" Every familiar face transformed, not just terror-stricken, but questioning. "No," Mia said, her voice trembling. "This can't be true." But a deep, raging laugh echoed from Steve, igniting the room with fear. "They all thought they knew you, Jamal, but you're just like the rest. A coward hiding behind lies." Time froze. The truth crashed over everyone like a wave, raw and shocking. Jamal's past, entwined in darkness, now stood exposed under the harsh classroom lights. Mia's heart raced. Was it true? Doubt twisted within her, mingling with pain. She stepped closer, wanting answers. "What else are you hiding?" But before Jamal could reply, the lights flickered wildly, then fell into darkness again. Only this time, the whispers morphed into a low growl, a word echoing through the space like a curse. Betrayal! Mia's breath hitched. Was that a voice? An invisible presence? Panic surged. Then, from the shadows, a figure emerged! A woman with fierce eyes and an aura dark as coal. You haven't seen the truth yet. Her voice dripped with knowledge. You think you know, but you don't. Who are you? Mia gasped, heart racing. I've come to show you. The woman stepped closer, and suddenly, recognition hit like a slap. You're Jamal's sister! Murmurs erupted, shock stealing the breath from their lungs. Jamal's jaw dropped, a mixture of horror and disbelief. But you left. You were gone. I thought... Gone? Oh, no! The woman smirked, eyes glistening. I was right here waiting. And now you've brought him back into this mess. But you, Jamal, you will pay for your betrayal. Crowd tension exploded. Mia's mind spun, threads unraveling. What deeper secrets had woven through their lives? The world around her blurred. She felt the darkness tightening. In that moment, she realized everything had changed. The hands of fate were rewriting their story. And they were all caught in the web of betrayal, lies, and shocking truths that were just beginning to surface. Mia couldn't breathe. The moment stretched, hanging like a taut string ready to snap. Jamal's voice, once filled with warmth, now sent chills down her spine. The line between safety and danger blurred as the masked figure loomed closer. His intentions a dark shadow. Let's see the real you, the stranger thundered. And the intensity pulled everyone forward, straining for clarity. All eyes locked on Jamal, questions written in their expressions. But he didn't respond. He only stood there, tense and silent. In the chaotic backdrop, Jessie gripped the knife tighter, her small fingers trembling. What does he mean? She squeaked, fear sparking in her blue eyes. I don't know, Mia whispered, dread curling in her stomach. The air thickened, heavy with uncertainty. As the unknown figure shifted, a flicker of fear crossed Jamal's face, an emotion so raw it pierced through Mia. Then, in a sudden surge, the lights went out again. Darkness enveloped them, thick and suffocating. Panic set in, hearts racing like wild horses. The only sound was the sharp intake of breath from the students. The low rustle of eyes adjusting to nothingness. Then the world ignited. A blinding flash cut through the gloom, illuminating the masked figure for a brief moment, and in that heartbeat a horrifying realization dawned on Mia. She saw the man's face, the tattooed arm, the wild dark hair. Steve? Gasps echoed around her, a chorus of disbelief. Steve, a familiar name among her students, known for his troubled past, now stood at the door as the symbol of terror. But what was he doing here? Why now? Jamal, why didn't you? She began, her words tumbling over each other. But Jamal's expression halted her. Stop, he yelled, stepping forward towards Steve, each gasp swallowing the silence. You don't have to do this. We can talk. Suddenly, the power surged back, flickering on to reveal the tension in every face. The stark terror dancing around them. You think you can rewrite the past, Jamal? Steve hissed, the hate boiling over. You and your lies. Everyone deserves the truth. And just as the other students began to react, as confusion turned to chaos, everything changed. A loud crashing sound echoed from the back of the classroom. The emergency exit burst open, and a group of masked figures flooded in, their intentions unclear, but violent. The school alarm blared, adding to the rising dread, drowning out rational thought. Mia's heart raced. She turned to Jamal, eyes wide in disbelief. "What's going on?" Her voice shook, but Jamal was already in motion, pulling Mia toward the side of the room, away from the encroaching chaos. "We need to find another way out," he urged, desperation lacing his tone. Yet something about his face made Mia uneasy. "Jamal, are you hiding something? What's happening?" she pressed, her stomach tightening as the masked figures loomed closer. Before he could respond, one of the figures swung a bat, crashing it against the nearest desk, sending books flying like confetti. Confusion rippled through the classroom as students screamed, jumping back. Mia clutched Jessie's arm tightly, heart pounding. Suddenly, through the noise, a voice rang clear. Enough! It cut through the panic like a knife. It was Miss Wilson, standing defiantly in the doorway, blocking the invaders. "This isn't the way." But the masked figures surged forward, and in a flash she was pushed aside. Then, in an instant of shocking clarity, everything shifted again. One of the masked people pulled off their mask, and it was someone Mia recognized. Mark, a school janitor, she had always thought of as quiet and kind. Yet now his expression twisted into something angry and wild. "Did you really think we wouldn't find out?" He spat at Jamal, his voice thick with venom. "All those lies, all those years, and you just kept hiding behind everyone else." It hit Mia hard, the betrayal laced in his words. Jamal had known Mark, had been hiding something deeper. "What did you do?" Mia blurted out, voice cracking under the weight of realization. But before Jamal could answer, the room erupted into chaos. Students pressed against walls, desperate to escape. Mia felt the walls closing in, the air thick with fear. Then another figure stumbled in. Someone Mia hadn't expected. Lily's older brother, Tom, a once beloved star athlete. "Mia!" he shouted. "Jamal, you have to help! They're coming for you!" "For all of us!" Mia's heart sank further. How had this spiraled out of control? She could hardly keep track of alliances crumbling, friends revealing their darker sides. As panic reigned, a single thought struck her. What if she couldn't trust anyone? In the madness, an unexpected silence fell. The masked figures halted, eyes shifting, not toward Mia or the students, but to Jamal. "Tell us the truth," Mark demanded, fists clenched, breathing heavily. "Are you really the man we thought you were? Or are you another shadow in the dark?" Mia's heart pounded, louder than the chaos around them. The weight of the question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. There it was. In that brief moment, she saw fear, yes, but also something else, something fierce and wild. The tension thickened, and Mia realized that whatever the answer was, it could change everything. And just as Jamal opened his mouth to speak, the lights cut out again, plunging them into darkness. Just as the door swung open, revealing an unknown figure bathed in harsh light. Enough games! Time to reveal the truth! The stranger shouted, and the floor beneath them trembled. Gasps erupted once more, and Mia's heart raced as she braced for the reality crashing down around them. Who was this new player? What truth would be laid bare now? The night was far from over, and the true battle had just begun. The classroom was plunged into darkness. Panic tightened around Mia's chest as the strange figure filled the doorway, his silhouette overpowering. Streaks of light flashed, illuminating mad eyes and a twisted grin. Enough games! Time to reveal the truth! His voice boomed, vibrating through the chaos. Every breath hung heavy with dread. Mia tightened her grip on Jessie's arm, heart racing. What truth? But before she could even catch her breath, the lights flickered back to life, revealing the figure was not a stranger after all. It was none other than Ryan, the school's former vice principal, a face everyone once trusted. "What is he doing here?" whispered a student, eyes wide, scanning the room as if searching for a way to escape. Ryan stepped forward, voice laced with venom. "You all thought you knew everything, didn't you? Jamal here, hiding behind his pretense of healing, but deep down, he's a coward." Murmurs erupted, disbelief rippling through the students. Jamal's facade began to crack. "Ryan, stop! You don't understand." "Don't I?" Ryan shouted, his voice echoing through the room. "You think you can change the past? You think you can save everyone while burying your truths?" Shock washed over Mia. Jamal's eyes darted, almost pleading. What was this hidden past? And just as Mia tried to process Ryan's words, the ground shook. A loud crash echoed in the classroom. The door slammed open, and in rushed officers, guns drawn. "Drop everything! This is a police situation." Mia's heart raced as the room erupted into chaos again. Students screamed, scrambling for safety. "What is happening?" one of them shouted. In the frenzy, Jamal turned to Mia. "You need to know the truth. They'll kill me if I don't." "Kill you?" Mia gasped. "What is going on?" Suddenly, Ryan lunged at Jamal, his face contorted with rage. "You think you can play the victim? You brought this on yourself." In that instant, a shot rang out, a loud pop that echoed through the chaos, sending everyone diving to the ground. Mia's stomach dropped as the world froze around her. The scream that followed was chilling. "Jamal!" It came from Lily, who had been trying to pull Jamal back. Mia's heart shattered as she watched Jamal stumble back, a hand clutching his side. "No!" she shouted, rushing toward him. But Ryan stood in her way, a twisted smile on his face. "You shouldn't have come back, Jamal. You brought this on us all." As Mia reached Jamal, he fell to the floor, pain etched into his features. "You don't understand," he gasped, blood pooling beneath him. "I was trying to save you all. I didn't want this." Desperate gasps filled the air. The reality of the situation came crashing down. "What do you mean, save us? From what?" Mia's voice trembled, fear swallowing her whole. Jamal's eyes flickered, focusing on her for just a moment. "It was never about me. I wanted to protect you." Then his gaze drifted, haunted. Suddenly, a flicker of realization sparked in Mia's mind. "Protect us from what?" she pressed, panic rising. The weight of his words lingered, unanswered, as the tension held the room captive. But just as Mia's heart brimmed with questions, another shot echoed, a loud, jarring burst that ricocheted through the chaos. The final words Jamal whispered trembled in the air. "Not all monsters wear masks." The lights dimmed again. What truth had he concealed? Mia's world tilted, everything spinning as she realized they were only beginning to scratch the surface of a horrifying truth. Everything she thought she knew about Jamal, about safety, about loyalty, would never be the same again. Nothing was truly as it seemed. Not in this room, not in this moment. And above all, a new question loomed, heavy like the darkness that enveloped them. Had Jamal truly been the protector, or the one they needed protection from? Mia's heart raced as she knelt beside Jamal, his pallor stark against the classroom floor. "Stay with me," she urged, trying to stem the flow of panic. The chaos around them blurred as she focused on his face. His eyes clouded with pain and regret. "You need to understand," he gasped, struggling for breath. "Ryan, he's not just a teacher. He wants power. He'll hurt everyone if we don't stop him." Tears streamed down her cheeks, the weight of his words tangible in the taut air. "But why didn't you tell us? We could have done something." Jamal grimaced, but then murmured softly, I thought I could protect you all. It's my mess." More shouts echoed as the students pressed against the wall, whimpering and terrified. Mark stood frozen, gripping the desk like it was a lifeline. "What's happening? Why are we in this nightmare?" A sudden thud made them jump, and Ryan narrowed his eyes, stepping closer. "Enough of this! You're all blind! Jamal has been leading you into darkness, and I can't let that continue." "Ryan, stop!" Mia cried. "You're not a hero in this! You're just creating more chaos!" Ryan laughed bitterly. "Chaos is the only way to reveal the truth. Jamal's the real threat here!" The crowd erupted, voices raised in confusion, uncertain who to trust. Mia felt the weight of desperation, fear coiling in her stomach like a snake, squeezing tighter with every second. Then a siren blared outside, cutting through the din, casting a crack of hope. Mia thought of the police, the only authority that could help them now. "Help is coming!" she shouted, her voice rising above the panic. "We need to hold strong until they get here." But Jamal's expression darkened, his voice barely a whisper. "If they come in, they'll see all of us as threats. Then we defend ourselves," she declared, rising to her feet, resolve hardening within her. "Enough!" Ryan shouted, fury igniting his words. "This ends now!" He lunged at Jamal, and chaos erupted once more. Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. "Get back!" She pushed forward, but stumbled as Ryan swung wildly. Just when it seemed like danger would consume them all, the door flew open and officers poured in, guns raised. "Hands up, everyone!" Relief surged through Mia as the officers scanned the room, assessing the scene. "Get down! We're in control now!" As everyone complied, Ryan's demeanor shifted, confusion flickering through his eyes. "You don't understand!" He sputtered. "I was trying to save it!" An officer barked, moving toward him. The tide had turned, and Mia felt a glimmer of hope dawning. The officers quickly restrained Ryan, and Jamal slumped down, panting. I wanted to make things right. I thought I could fix it. Mia knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. You still can, she whispered, by telling them everything. He nodded slowly, tears glistening. I will. I promise. The officers worked, gathering statements, ensuring everyone was safe. The air buzzed with tension, but also a sense of relief. As Mia looked around, she saw the faces of her students, some still trembling, others caught in a mix of hope and fear. They had survived this storm together. Let's get you to the hospital, Mia told Jamal gently, her heart swelling with determination. He would heal, and so would they. With the chaos settling, the last echoes of danger began to fade, replaced by whispers of a tentative peace. We'll get through this, Mia assured the students. Together. Always together. As the officers escorted Ryan out, the classroom filled with the sounds of chatter again, a renewed spirit igniting the air. But in the space between healing and hurt, shadows lingered, reminding Mia of the scars they would carry. The journey to recovery would be long, but they would face it together. And as she turned to leave, a sense of uncertainty prickled at her heart. What lay ahead? Would the town truly be free from darkness? This thought lingered with her, unshakable and profound. The future was blurry, but together they could face whatever came next. Before she exited the classroom, she turned back, feeling the weight of the moment. Everyone, listen, she announced, voice strong. This is not the end. We're just beginning to fight for our truth. With one last look at Jamal and her students, she stepped into the bright hall, ready for whatever light and darkness awaited them. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive stories. They're coming fast. Smash that like button now. It feeds the algorithm and helps us reach more friends. The comment section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And please, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this outcome. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait another second to share.